if we divide this world into two parts, one being the east, the other being the west, we know that the western half of this world is known for having made very great contributions towards science and material achievements of humanity. But East has been very well known for the spiritual growth of the mankind. Now, if this world could heed the spiritual contributions of the East and combine it with the advancement in science, technology, and medicine, material well-being given by the western side of the world, then this world would become a heaven by itself. Unfortunately, this world has slid into a state of turmoil and conflict. Instead of combining the two jewels, one given by the West and the other given by the East, and taking the best advantage of these two tremendous contributions made by the two halves of this world. Now, it is the state of the mind of the man that really shapes the state of our planet. Our world is what our mind is, and we are talking on a very collective basis, not on individual basis. But individual basis makes the collective basis. So therefore, if each one of us pays attention to the development of the mind in a way that has been really taught by very wise teachers such as the Buddha, then we become a very collective force, and that force can really change for a great value for all of us. We are addressing the subject of the state of mind, therefore, today, and we will also stress the fact how we can improve, how we can cultivate our mind, and we can really develop this tremendous source of energy that our mind is, and usher in great conditions of love, peace, and happiness all around us. Now, this is needless to say that at this point there has to be the radical change in the minds of the people to usher in that coveted change that will bring happiness to all. We are living in a world, community, where people think that they can find happiness and inner peace and perhaps harmony by acquiring wealth, power, and social status. They also seek happiness through family relationships, jobs, partnerships, friendships, and many sensual pleasures. Now, always people are looking to change their external conditions of their physical, social, political environment in various ways, because they believe that when these conditions are changed, they are developed, then they can really become happy and peaceful. But in this whole pursuit of external changes, They forget that the conditions will always keep on changing. They never stop changing. We live in a very conditioned world, and the conditions are always dynamic. So harder they try to reach out for happiness by changing their external environments, the more elusive this happiness becomes. It is like catching a fluttering butterfly which is so enticingly near and yet is unreachable. Thus people waste a lot of their mental energy and they do not know how to harness it. Energy of this mind is like a waterfall. Like we know that when water pours from a waterfall, if there is an innovative engineer and he studies that fall, he develops a dam to harness that power. And once that power is harnessed, that water, which is so accumulated with so much energy in it, is converted into hydroelectric power, which lights up streets and houses and keeps the factories running. In the same way, we can accumulate our mental energy and harness it and use it well to serve others, besides enabling ourselves to experience peace and happiness. Buddha actually developed his mental energy to the supreme level, and which really resulted in his attaining the final goal of enlightenment. So the mind has a tremendous source of energy. Mind is a tremendous reservoir of energy, and its limits are boundless. If anyone wants to tap into that mental energy, one has to really work hard and start cultivating his mind. The energy of mind does not get developed by itself or just by wishful thinking. It needs a real good hard work, because such is the nature of the mind. And it also needs religious guidance to point out the real path on which to put the mind on so that it can get trained. Man always has one very bad element in him, and that is his ego. Now this ego, hatred, selfishness and cunningness in man's mind, these defilements are infesting man's mind to such a bad extent that they are really impediments to the man's progress in developing that stage of mind where mind can acquire those powers, and hence its energy can be utilized for better causes and better results. It is pointed out that the man has really uplifted his standard of life by making marvelous inventions. This is true. But on the dark side of these inventions, look at the diabolical weapons invented by man. The life of even anyone, every living being has his or her life in danger. Now, these inventions are by and large responsible for that danger. I mean, atomic energy, for example, has been discovered by human mind and can be utilized for constructive as well as destructive purposes. Now today what's going on? The politicians seem to be using this energy as a threat to their neighbors and the whole world. It is very much feared that if this big energy source, which could be used for constructive purposes, falls in the hands of undesirable people, then it is quite certain that the humanity will be at the brink of its annihilation. So unless they control the mind, the mental energy, and they channel it in a productive way, until then we may not expect wonderful results. On the other hand, maybe destruction happens. Today, no one can live peacefully without being filled with fear, suspicion, and tension. Every being that exists really creates some problem for the others. Why do people create such problems and violate the peace and happiness of others? Now the answer is that it is due to selfishness rooted in their untrained minds. No proper development of mind can occur, nor can there be real understanding in a mind that is really enslaved by materialistic desires. Due to increasing materialism, man becomes more and more violent, jealous, and engrossed with hatred. Modern man seems to apply his selfishness and greed to anything that he handles. There is no trust between man to man. Even in a very densely populated areas of the world, the people are feeling insecure. If you look at, for example, Baghdad, it's a densely populated capital of Iraq, and yet the life there is so insecure. No human being living there can trust another one because something may not be very well in the mind of this other human being. When you reflect on man's crookedness, you can see that animals in many ways are even better than human beings. Animals are not that cunning and they never mislead others. Actually, it is the two-legged animals who live in concrete jungles are unreliable and selfish, and often endangered society by introducing all sorts of immoral practices. Considering the sophisticated technology at man's disposal, we know that if there is any being who can destroy the world, it will be man himself. In the past, people used to think with some mythological beliefs that one day God or devil would destroy this world. Now we can see for ourselves who is going to destroy this world. Now, we also know that too much political power is in the hands of few decision makers, and they are big manipulators. As a result of this, the fate of millions of human beings is literally in their hands. If one of those people presses a button, the whole world could be reduced to a rubble and ashes in minutes. And if he is mentally deranged, like Hitler, the chance of global destruction is even higher. All of these stated facts about the nature of the man may lead to hopelessness for the future. But indeed, we really should not lose sight of the fact that there are still good number of good people, and there is some hope available to us if we begin to pay attention. Over the centuries, certain methods have been discovered by wise people which enable human beings to lead respectable life. The culture of any community is based on these basic moral principles set out by these wise men. Let us look closely and see where the problem is and what can be done to improve our prospects. Most people adopt wrong methods to find peace and happiness. They seek these coveted states of mind, peace and happiness, from outside of themselves, instead of looking within themselves. People foolishly try to overcome their miseries by seeking to please their senses. Now what do? They drink, gamble, and dance under the illusion that they are enjoying and having good time and happiness. The fact is, sense stimulation does not really bring peace and relaxation. The more we try to please the senses through sensual pleasures, the more we will become slaves to the senses. There will be no end to our craving for satisfaction in this way. You can see that for yourself. This is not a secret. You can give yourself many examples to prove what is being said here. Anyone who starts drinking, isn't it that he keeps on increasing the intake, and yet his thirst is never fully quenched? He wants more and more of it. And what does it do to him? All kinds of mental and health troubles, and maybe legal troubles as well. We need to develop insight, meaning ability to look inside us. And that insight is to understand the real nature of things. In order to develop insight, we have to first tame the mind, which is really clouded with evil. It should be filled with purity and wisdom, which is gained through the cultivation of religious and spiritual principles. By controlling the mind, we calm our senses and gain deep relaxation. When we talk about controlling the mind, we really do not mean brainwashing. In fact, nobody should control anyone else's mind by any means. Nobody should control anybody's thinking. If we were able to control the mind, then we will be able to control everything that affects us. The mind which is fully controlled and purified will be free from mental disturbances and can see many things which are really not perceivable by others with their naked eyes. That's indeed very true, because mind has tremendous potential to develop such powers. This is the only method really to achieve mental purity and emancipation, that we should develop the insight. Buddha actually gained his enlightenment through the method of insight meditation, and by virtue of his own personal experiences as well. Although people and animals can be trained in a physical sense, the training of the mind is more difficult to accomplish. Meditation, which is a system of mind training, is therefore not an easy task, and it requires really an earnest and diligent effort. Our mind is a house for anger, greed, laziness, worry, and doubt. That means that these defilements, they live inside our house. We need to banish them in order to acquire that state of purification of the mind. If the mind is polluted with these defilements and it is deluded, then many difficulties can come in life. Meditation really can develop tremendous powers. Meditation is very useful in helping a person to live peacefully, despite various disturbances that are so prevalent in this modern world. Through the practice of meditation, we can confront any pressures of this modern life. Meditation, if it is practiced conscientiously, will help a person to face and understand and overcome every problem pertaining to life. For meditation to proceed and progress, the mind must be completely neutralized from desire and aversion. Of course, at the beginning, one will find this very difficult, extremely difficult. We cannot control the mind in a single attempt, especially by force, but should really apply a right effort through practice and understanding. For meditation to produce good, positive results, we must properly attune the mind with confidence. We should recognize the value of meditation, which contributes towards mental training and peace. Meditation strengthens the mind and helps it to understand things properly. Just as the body needs washing, feeding, and medicating, we must understand that the mind also needs the same maintenance. Wash the mind through calm meditation. Feed the mind with Dhamma. Medicate the mind. Rid the sickness of anger, greed, and ignorance with the supreme medicine of the Dhamma. The body needs clothing to cover nakedness. In the same manner, the mind also needs discipline to prevent mental nakedness. The most dynamic force in the world actually is the mind. A single thought that appears in this invisible mind can either save or destroy this world. It is that powerful. The mind is a gold mine, but people pollute it. Therefore, it is important that the mind must be properly guided by discipline and reason to avoid mental pollution. The Buddha has said, "No enemy can harm one so much as one's thoughts of cravings, thoughts of hatred, and thoughts of jealousy." When we master our mind, we can overcome the negative thoughts which can make life a nuisance to ourselves as well as to others. These internal enemies harm us more than external enemies. We suffer more due to worries, enmity, and irritability arising from our minds. Therefore, we have to strive to overcome them by harnessing the mental forces of concentration and understanding, and we have to practice meditation, which is the only way. But this practice has to be done with strong determination and effort and patience. From meditation, immediate results should not be expected. We must remember that it takes many years for a person to be a qualified as a doctor, lawyer, mathematician, historian, or a scientist. The similar thing applies in meditation also. A good meditator, a person will take same time to control the elusive mind and calm the senses. One must not lose patience. If one is not able to obtain rapid results during the initial stages, it should be clearly understood that there are various kinds and techniques of meditation. Each has its own merits. There is an amusing story of a man who boasted to the Buddha that as a result of great effort over many years, he had mastered the art of walking on water. The Buddha remarked that it was not necessary to waste all that time and effort if one's intention was merely to cross a river. For a boatman could easily have ferried him across the river for a very small payment. One must cultivate the right view and aspiration to cross the sea of Samsara. What is that? Sea of Samsara? It is the cycle of birth and death. And once someone crosses that sea of Samsara, that person attains emancipation. The aim of the Buddhist meditation is to calm and purify the mind and gain release and freedom from this samsara. One must meditate with higher goal of complete freedom rather than the goal of achieving mundane worldly things. One must be established in morality and clear understanding. Then only the meditation or the discipline of meditation can be fruitful. Worldly achievements must not be equated with actually spiritual development. Ideally, it is beneficial to learn under an experienced teacher or instructor to progress along the right path. We meditate not only for our spiritual development, but also to maintain our poise and equilibrium in our day-to-day life. If we can maintain patience and tolerance, we will not be easily provoked by others, for we can understand and see things in their correct perspectives. When we develop our minds to the fullest by cultivating virtues and positive qualities, maintaining our human dignity and observing morality and discipline, we really experience freedom. This makes us appreciative of those who achieved that end. We pay homage to them. Happy are those who have developed detachment, maintain peace and contentment in their lives. Meditation is never a waste of time. It expands the mind of a meditator in love and wisdom and enables him to solve many human problems and enlighten others as well. Through meditation, we will be able to make the right decision when we are in doubt as to which way to turn. These qualities cannot be bought anywhere. No amount of money or property can buy the qualities attained through meditation. Thus, the best advice is meditate, meditate, meditate.